Oh, good morning, everyone. It's Arthur Torella here. It's July 29th, 2021. Today, I wrote to the new township lawyers asking them to give me a response to my request to have the Honorable Justice Stephen Bale hear all of future court appearances, uh, so that as he's been involved in this action for the last 10 years, amongst seven other judges, uh, again, this is a simple building permit application that Rob Lamar had taken me to court for failure to comply. Uh, you can't make up this type of shit, but it does show how the justice system, it does not work for a self-representative person, because the way they keep changing the procedures and never having different judges hear different responses, and the fact that I had to deal with multiple lawyers at a time. Even this, I had a before Justice Levine where I asked to have court file 269 and my response, which was a statement of claim, uh, court file 302, put together and be heard as one order. She said she doesn't know if she has jurisdiction to do that. So my statement of claim had multiple issues in it. One was the fact that Rob Lamar violated the building code rule 24 when he took me to court knowing that the alternative was available that doesn't cost any money to anybody. And then on top of that, he canceled my garage permit uh, for no reason, extorting 55% of my fee. And on top of that, when I submitted the second permit, the CAO gave it to Austin Reinhardt, who ended up reviewing it all and issued my permit based on the first set of drawings that Rob Lamar rejected and canceled my garage permit. And that included the same application form. That in itself is breach of trust by the CBO. And again, the Honorable Justice Lack dismissed my first statement of claim. Uh, on top of that, the judges have made endorsements, but the two lawyers, Russell Palin, and who worked for the insurance company, and John Ewart, who works for the township, who started this long drawn out BS, knowing that we met every requirement, and he actually had gone into court, misled the judges, and played games again, as I said, past. But going forward, I'm now faced with the CEO opened up this can of worms again when I would have been happy to have my permit issued when I submitted my March 23rd, 2021 deputation to council. The CAO filed a court action again to try to make me a vexatious litigator. Well, this is them using the justice system as a means for their own self-protection, and which draws my attention back to where our written laws need to be changes. People need to be held accountable. We go back through history and see the corruption that's gone on. This year we all known about the residential schools. We've seen the nonsense that's gone on, and yet nobody's held accountable. Even if they are caught and with their hands in the cookie jar, as I say, or caught doing wrong, all they get is a slap on the wrist, and they get to retire. they even still get their full pensions. We as the people who vote them in, we need to have them laws changed. People need to be held accountable. Now, my biggest complaint over the last 10 years is I've watched the CBO of our township. He's the manager of the planning, he's the manager of the building department, he's the chief building official, he's a permit plans examiner, he sees every building permit that's submitted, any new development he controls. He's the head of bylaw enforcement, so he can literally use that against anybody who causes him any problems. He doesn't have to report to council in order to file legal actions, which has now come up a number of times now with example Tom Alexander's, the old Buckhorn Lodge, where he took him to court, and that ties the hands of council when Tom Alexander tried to go to get a deputation to council. Waste of time. I've seen Mrs. Bear across the lake from me has a nice sized lot. She has a small, less than 400 square foot house. Rob Lamar made her get a minor variance to add a 10 by 10 room to it because he decided that they wrote their municipal bylaws, building bylaws, stating that it says to any new housing has to be 1,000 square feet. But there is a clause in it that any existing houses are exempt. He didn't read that. He didn't bother. Council has been informed. Mrs. Bear had to pay $1,120 for Committee of Adjustment and minor variance, which was not needed. That's fraud, and they know this. On top of that, when I ran for mayor in 2014, I met Canadian Welding Schools. The nonsense that they went through. Rob Lamar literally, from the emails I got from the resident, he literally had been made to get an ORCA approval, and Rob Lamar drew the ORCA line on his property. He wasn't even needed. Again, this is the nonsense that goes on. Look at what happened in the stone house in Lakeville. Rob Lamar issued a demolition permit for a heritage building. Again, he sat on the heritage committee. He knew that the structure was one of the oldest in Lakeville. This is the man who creates more problems for our township, and the mayor and council keep protecting him. Why? Now, going back to my issues, like Austin Reinhardt issue, all of a sudden Austin Reinhardt was forced to leave the township's employment. Again, I've been attempted to force me to hire a particular individual that Rob Lamar recommended on the phone and had written in a written letter, emailed to me, to hire Jim Thompson. Now, I commented about whether Jeanette Thompson, Rob Lamar's assistant, was a relative of this man, which brings to the nepotism and the cronyism that's going on. Again, Janet Thompson seems to have left our employment, and I know she did a good job. And again, with our going through the Committee of Adjustment, her writing and the way she responded with me, I felt she's been under pressure to do this. But we've now had also an outside review by performance concept consultants who basically have said what I've been saying for 10 years. One man cannot be in charge of all these items, and the first thing that needs to be done is a replacement of the chief building officials. Has that happened? It's been now going on 2 years. No, they're playing games. Rob Lamar and Janice LaValle are so comfortable in their positions of power, and this council do not have, politely, I have to say, they don't have any of the balls to do what's needed to be done. They need to call in an OPP investigation. And the fact that I can name 5 different people who are victims of Rob Lamar's abuse, that speaks to a problem. So hopefully, as I move forward with my court case, and they've taken me back to court and guaranteed my the order that the judge placed, even though there's multiple other orders that have been filed and cost awards filed against me for defending my charter rights. It's going to be interesting to see. So again, no response from the lawyers from ARID BERLIS, who happen to be the people that wrote the annotated building code and helped write the building code. No one's looking into the fact that Rob Lamar's originating action was wrong in law. Therefore, everything after is fruit from the poison tree, and all the costs should be vacated. And again, I should be issued my permit because I've been a carpenter 50 years and general contractor, and I have never experienced the issues and problems I faced in this township. Hopefully next year's election will put an end to all this nonsense by getting rid of this council. And definitely Rob Lamar talks about retiring, but I think that's more bullshit, and because he's got a comfortable job. He's on the provincial payroll list report. He's making $120,000 a year with his benefits and everything, and he basically is the creator of more problems in our township than anything, and he's prevents more needed development by his BS. Anyway, I'm going to keep with my fight because that's at my age, at going on 70. That's the best. All I can do. He didn't let me finish my workshop, so I can't go back to making toys and wood stuff. Enjoy my retirement. So I'm going to continue the fight, and hopefully we'll get a new judge. They will allow Justice Bale to hear everything instead of having 8 different judges making different endorsements and not ever reading my materials. Anyway, living country style in beautiful Selwyn Township.